So if we think about breath work in our practice, in our breathing, first of all, we want to breathe from here. So when we inhale, the stomach should come out. When we exhale, you use your stomach muscles to contract. The rest of you stay still. Now, if you notice at the top and their bottom, you're going to pause. What this does, I like to call it windshield wipers. So when you still have a bunch of thoughts present, these pauses at the top, because you are still, the mind will tend to move during the breath. The breath is life, is activity. When you are still at the top and bottom, it is very easy for you to find stillness. So if you're not able to find 5-10 minutes of solid stillness and silence, then you can always find seconds up to moments of stillness at the top and bottom of each breath, which allows you to break the thought chains and just focus on those breaks. And as you work on the breath and the mind, these intervals will increase until they are predominant. So eventually we will extend the breathing out. And you'll notice that I do doubly fill on the larger breaths. I fill the bottom chamber and then the top chamber. So in extending this breath out like this, up to where you're breathing perhaps 1-2 breaths a minute, or even down to 1 breath every 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and beyond, you will find there are some instantaneous changes and effects to your consciousness. It has been said in various spiritual teachings that if one can bring one's breathing to 1 breath per minute as a sustained pace, one will have the secrets to all of the cosmos revealed. We would agree. This would be an effect. Although one would not be able to this does not mean this is a shortcut to dealing or processing with whatever emotional or egoic structures that must be dealt with. There is no shortcut to this. It simply means that the breath work will facilitate the processing of these things, and you would not be able to get to a 1 breath per minute sustained living standard without getting through these things and processing them. So one goes hand in hand. So it may be seen as a yardstick of one's progress also. But if you look at what I've just said, as the effect you'll notice as you start to slow your breath down is that the slower you breathe, the slower you think. And especially once you have disidentified yourself from the thoughts and you can really see them as a separate thing and observe them, when you are really breathing slow and your consciousness is cycling slow, the breath will appear incredibly fast. I mean, the thoughts, the egoic thoughts, the conscious level of thoughts will appear incredibly quick and flighty, inconsequential, and they won't be able to grab you. And eventually it'll appear like they're just little things in the periphery, you know. But because of the difference in cycling, as the video I recently put up of Bashar's talking about, I believe I did make a video up where he was explaining this. I know I put a video up of his tool for syncing the brain into the epsilon state. And the epsilon state, again, is the lowest frequency state below delta, so where you would normally be considered to be dead asleep. Below this state, which would be a deep meditative state, perhaps when you're breathing at 1 breath per minute or so, then you will enter the epsilon state, which actually, in that very slow state, carries the lambda state, the highest state, the super mental state. This to me also corresponds to the fact that when we look at the void, or what appears to be nothing, we actually find at the microcosmic level infinite movement, infinite energy, the 0 point energy. In the same way that if we bring our consciousness low and slow, we find infinite speed, we find infinite power suddenly. Because it aligns you with the higher frequency beings who, because of the time differential, for them to process what happens here, it appears to them that what happens down here, because they are moving so much faster, to us they're invisible. To them, we are moving very slow. In fact, to an angel, it appears we're not moving at all. Not physically anyways, if they were to view us that way. I can't actually pretend to know from this perspective what they appear, what we appear like to them. But I know that as far as the time differential goes, it would appear that way. So by really slowing down, suddenly you have pierced the veil. You see? You have brought yourself into alignment. You're now moving with them from here. Anyway.